Hello YouTube, I'm Nye from Finale Guitar in Sheffield. You're watching Folk Friend, your one-stop shop for Celtic backing guitar. And in today's video I'm going to show you how you can get the sound of DADGAD without having to learn a single new chord shape. Like that. So it's got this really lovely open ringing sound to it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take your standard tuned guitar and tune every single one of the strings down by a tone, and that will give you D, G, C, F, A, D, like that. Cool. Once you've got your guitar all tuned down a tone, the next thing to do is get hold of one of these handy little gadgets. This here is a Kaiser partial capo. There are two main brands of partial capo. There's really only two companies that make them. One of them is Kaiser. They do these kind of quick spring release variants. And the other company that makes them is Shub. Shub's ones are mechanical. The Kaiser ones are good because you can move them about quickly by just squeezing the spring and moving them up and down the neck. Both options are available to buy in the link down below. If you buy through Amazon, I will get a small commission. It will help me continue to make these videos, so please do click on the links down there and you'll be able to get hold of either a Shub or a Kaiser partial capo, whichever is your preference. What we're going to do then with this nifty gadget is we're going to put it on from the top, from the thicker end of the guitar strings, the lower pitched end, and we're going to use it to cover up the three strings, not the one nearest to you, but the next three after that. Once you've done that, you can now just play all your standard chord shapes that you would use for a tune in the key of D or D minor. All you need to bear in mind is that they're all going to have moved up 2 frets. So if I start out with a D chord, I'm now playing my D chord with the index finger on the 4th fret, the middle finger on the 4th fret, and the ring finger on the 5th fret. So the whole shape has just shifted up 2 frets. It's exactly as if you were using a regular capo. So you kind of treat where the capo is as being the nut. The difference is that now I can leave the bottom string in all my chords and it's going to sound nice. So for my D chord I can play all the strings. Here are my top tips for how to get the DADGAD sound then with this capo configuration. So the first thing is, the thing that defines the DADGAD sound is that you've got a ringing open A and D at the top of the tuning and a big ringing D at the bottom. We have those here as well. We've got our D, A, D, like that. So if you leave those strings in your chord shapes, it will sound more DADGAD-y. So if I take shapes like D major, for example, and I just leave off the fingers which fall on that string, that gives me just one finger like this. If I take G major, I need my G root note at the bottom, but I'm going to leave the top 2 strings open. That's a really nice G chord with an extra A added, so it's a G add 9. If I wanted an A chord, I'd play the A shape, but again I leave those top 2 strings open. In that one obviously I leave off the bottom string because you don't want a low D note in an A chord. So by switching between those 3, I've got my 1, 4 and 5 chords. They're easier to play in this configuration because there's fewer fingers involved, and they sound more traditional, more open and ringy, more like DADGAD. Like that. Here's another really useful chord shape in this tuning. If you want to use chord 1's related minor, so D major is your chord 1, the related minor is always 2 chords behind it, so D, C sharp, B, B minor is its related minor. For B minor, there's a really nice jazzy B minor 7 chord shape, which is just 2 fingers, and it's like that. And that's also easy to change down to A from, because you just move your index finger. So that's really useful. Just a quick one on the subject of E minor. I'm afraid getting an E minor chord in this configuration is very, very difficult. What you really have to do in order to get a low E root note is put your index finger just behind the capo like this, and then add your ring finger on the 2nd fret above the capo on the A string, which is actually the 4th fret. So that gives you this really nice E minor 11 chord, but it is quite hard to hit that E bass note. So maybe just bear in mind that it's going to be a struggle to get an E minor chord in this tuning. But other than that, it's a really easy way to chunk along with tunes and sound like you're playing in DADGAD, but without learning any new shapes. Let's have a look at how you would take this principle and apply it to different keys. And the way that I'm going to do that is using another tool off my utility belt, which is a normal quick change capo. And if you want to buy one of these, please do get one direct from me. I sell them via mail order. They're £10 with postage and packaging in the UK. Postage and packaging rates are available for abroad. They might be slightly more, but it really helps the channel out, helps me keep making these videos. So grab one off my website, linked in the corner of the screen right now and in the box down below as well. So if we wanted to play a tune in, let's take G major as an example, because that's a very common folky key. I'll just take my capo off again. So at the moment we're set up for D. There's our D root note at the bottom. So we want to take that effect and move it so that we've got a G root note. So if I go up the neck on the bottom string, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. So I found there's a G root note on the bottom string on the 5th fret. So I'm going to get my quick change capo and I'm going to just plop it on the 5th fret. And then I'll get my partial capo and I'll put that 2 frets above it in the same way as before, so that it's covering the bottom 3 strings but 1. And then I can do the same thing up here and I'll get a really nice tinkly DADGAD sounding G major set of chords. So kind of thing. So by combining 2 capos, you can move this anywhere that you want really. You can move it up another 2 to get A major. It does get a little bit cramped at the top of the neck if you haven't got a cutaway, but you can definitely do it. And loads of things like that. So by moving these around, you can pretty much get any key using very simple chord shapes in the key of D major. Last thing on this one, if you want to use this configuration of capos to play along with tunes in minor keys, you can do that just as easily as well. Instead of taking chord shapes related to D major, instead you take chord shapes that you would normally use in D minor. So let's say we were playing along with a folk tune in D Dorian. We'll put our capos back to the root position, so we've got our partial capo on the 2nd fret covering what used to be the A, D and G strings. So that's going to give us, if we play a D minor shape now, that's giving us D minor. If we wanted to play along with tunes in the key of E minor, we could put our capo on the 4th fret for the partial capo and the 2nd fret for the regular capo, and we'd play along like that. So we'd just be using the set of chord shapes that we'd normally use for a tune in D minor, except now because we've capoed it up, they're going to fit with a tune in E minor instead. If you want to find out what the associated chords in any key are, by the way, you need an amazing mode wheel from Finale Guitar. They're available in a little card in the corner of the screen. They show you all the chords for a tune in any key really quickly by just turning around a little wheel and they fit in the front pocket of your guitar case, so you can pop them out in a session if you get lost. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments box down below if you would like me to go into more detail on other cool things you can do with partial capos or more partial capo chord shapes. I've got loads more that I could tell you about. I would also very much like it if you could hit the green thumbs up button down there while you're there. It really helps me out with the channel. And while you're down there as well, why not hit the subscribe button? You'll get a weekly free Celtic guitar tutorial from me, and you'll also get the opportunity to tune in for the Folky Fridays live stream, Fridays at 5:30 UK time. Down in the box down below there's a Folk Friend Facebook, so follow that if you want more updates on when the live streams are and any other news from me. And I will see you all for loads more videos next weekend.